Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to be doing a quick little photo comparison and video comparison actually between the Samsung Galaxy S10e and the Samsung Galaxy S20. And I've already done one between the regular S10 and the S20, and there's some cool key differences between those, but there's more differences between these ones for sure. And what I can tell you is that between both, if you have the option, definitely go for the S20 if you have all the money in the world to spend. The S20 is the better phone every which way you're going to look at it. It has all the capability. The really cool thing is that we still maintain that triple camera setup, but we have a ton of cool features within that camera setup as well, which makes this thing that much better. And I'll go ahead and run down some of the specs between both camera sets, and then I'll get into the photo comparison. The Samsung Galaxy S10e has a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, and then a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 has a triple camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 64 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And really both can do 4K 60 frames, which is really cool. The S20s I think is going to be better overall. But we have that really cool ability of being able to shoot 8K videos on the S20, where we do not have that on the S10e. So that's a really cool feature that we have on that. It's not an end all be all. I don't think a lot of people are going to be shooting 8K videos, but the fact that we have that capability is actually really cool. So I give Samsung a lot of credit for doing that. On the front, 10 megapixel sensors, 4K 60 on the S20, but 4K 30 on the S10e. And in terms of the outside, that really pretty much covers it on the hardware. So I'll go ahead and show you actually the photos now. And for the whole entire comparison, the S10e photos will be on the left, the S20 photos will be on the right, and I took these photos at the exact same time, literally one after the other. And another quick thing I want to note is that I let the photos autofocus. This is not, filtered in any way. I didn't tap to focus on any of these. I let the cameras autofocus on wherever they want to focus and let it move on from there. And on this first photo, you can see the curtains, and honestly, both look pretty good from the back. However, even from this distance, I can already kind of see that the S10e's photo is a little grainy, especially if I look into this little area right here. I could actually see this from far away distance. Where on the S20, if you zoom in, it's noticeably less grainier than the S10e's photo. And if I go ahead and zoom into like this portion right here, I'm already kind of seeing some differences. And actually, when I zoom in, the S20's photo looks a little bit more grainy, maybe because I'm zoomed in a little bit more. And they're both about the same, but the background, in my opinion, seems a little bit more grainier on the S10e, but it seems more noisier on the S20. So this is some differences for sure. There's not like a crazy winner here. If I go ahead and go into the brighter portion of the photos, you can kind of see that the S10e's photo is a little bit darker here, where the S20 is a little bit more lighter, I guess, and you kind of see more detail and sharpness on the S10e's photo, surprisingly. And the colors look, I think, better on the S20, but you're able to see a little bit more details on the S10e. So between this one, I don't think there's like a clear winner, but that one is actually pretty surprising. I think the S20s just looks a little bit better, but the S10es also looks pretty good here. Now this next photo is just some Rubik's Cube, nothing too crazy, and you can see a little bit of Coke can on the floor, something like that. And from the top, I mean, there's really not too many differences, I would say, but once you start zooming in, that's when you start noticing some really big things. And with the colors especially, I'm kind of seeing that the colors on the Rubik's Cube on the Galaxy S20 look a little bit sharper than the ones on the S10e, which is actually pretty surprising. As you can see, the orange on top is a little bit darker, I would say, on the S20. The blues seem better on the S20 as well. The colors just seem overall better on the S20. I think this is a pretty basic one at that. The background, like that's if I zoom into like the Coke can on the floor, you can see that on the S20 it's a little bit shaded out, it's a little bit darker, which is I think a good thing. I don't really want to see that. The S20 did a good job of hiding it, where on the S10e it's pretty much in detail. So if you have a lot of background, if you have a lot of things in the background of the S20, of the S10e photos, those will probably end up still staying there when the S20 did a better job of hiding it. On this next photo, I took of just literally the DSi little camera thing, and this is actually a really cool photo on both. And one thing I've been noticing about the S10 and S10e photos is that they're a little bit darker, and I kind of do like that. On the S10 and the S20, they kind of pop out a little bit, and already like with the whites, for example, it kind of looks a little bit more brighter on the S20 than on the S10e. And if I go ahead and zoom into like this little corner right here, you can kind of see a little bit of the differences between like the coloring. This one looks a little bit more eggshell white. This one seems a little bit whiter than that, which is cool. The edging looks about the same on both too, but the background colors look a little bit different on both too. I don't know if you'll be able to tell over the screen, but between both there's not a clear winner. But I do think that the S20 probably looks a little bit better between them, but it's very close. Now this next photo is the infamous photo of the grass, and I love taking this one because it showcases so much. So up top they look almost kind of the same, to be honest. The Galaxy S20 photo looks a little bit yellower though. I'm not really too sure how to describe it. It just looks a little bit more on the yellow side. If I go ahead and zoom into the center, which is something that I love doing, you can kind of see that if I go ahead and zoom into like this particular leaf right up there and this particular leaf, you kind of see that, dude, in a way, it looks kind of like the S20's photo looks a little bit more washed out. Not washed out, but just a little bit more noisier in a way. I wasn't expecting that. If I go ahead and kind of zoom out, if I could go into that top tip, this one looks a little bit more grainy. So it kind of goes on and off. So one doesn't really win over the other one, but those are some key little things I was noticing right there. However, one thing I want to note is if you look at that keyboard in the background, if you look at the keyboard on the S10e photo, look how much of a better job the S20 did at actually blurring all that out. When the S10e, you can still, kind of make out the, little letters and stuff, which some people might like, some people might not care, but you want that overall, bokeh effect, and you want those things to be blurred out in the background. And that's surprising that the S20 did such a good job there when the S10e, those things were still there. So this next photo is just some design thing, and they both were in the sunlight, and this is actually kind of a nice photo, I'm not gonna lie. And you can already see that the S10e, they both took really good photos, but the S10e's colors are a little bit lighter. The S20 did a better job at kind of darkening those photos, which is kind of nice. I kind of do like that. So again, one doesn't really blow the other one out of the water. The S20 I think did a way better job. So if I zoom in, let's say to this particular part, I don't really know where I'm at. So I had to say this part. So it's kind of hard, but if I just go ahead and like zoom into like this area of both the photos, you can kind of see that the lines are a little bit more rigid and look much better on the S20 in my opinion than on the S10e. So that one I would give the edge to the S20 for sure. Now this photo is of live focus mode, which is pretty much portrait mode on these phones. Again, from the top, I don't really think there's a big difference. I think this one is definitely lighter. But if I go ahead and zoom into the face like I always do, you kind of start seeing the differences. The S20 did a better job at lightening the overall photo. If I go ahead and zoom into like the top ear portion, sometimes we get to see some huge differences. So as you can see, the S20 I think did a better job at the overall background of the image. For some reason it's a lot darker here. And the noise, there's a lot more noise on this photo, whereas on this one there's not a lot. So for this one I would definitely give the edge to the S20 for sure. Now this one I took outside, and it's of this leaf, and between these ones, I mean, one again doesn't really blow the other one out of the water. They both look almost the same, but I kind of like from the distance the S10e's photo. It looks a little bit more warmer and sharper to me, but again, they both look pretty good. If I go ahead and kind of look at the attention to detail, if I go and zoom into this portion of the leaf, they both look about the same. I mean, again, nobody's going to be zooming in this much to the photo, but one interesting thing is if you look around the photo and the leaf, you kind of see this graininess coming around and the noise around that leaf, whereas on the S10e, we actually don't have that, which is really surprising. So I think the overall photos look pretty good, and if I go in and kind of like zoom into the top tier of this photo, maybe we'll see a little bit of difference, and they both look about the same, but I definitely do think that for the noisiness, there seems to be more noise on the S20's photo than on the S10e's, which is actually really surprising to me. Now this photo, as you can see, is just some wood, and I always like seeing how both phones interpret the brown color. On the S10 lineup, including the S10e, you can see that it kind of does this over filtering, which some people might like, some people might not. The S20 I think is more accurate, and I don't know if there's a way to turn off this filtering. It's complete stock settings, but I think it's okay. I think, it's good enough. I think I like this one, but I like this one more because it's kind of more true to life, so I think the S20 gets that one for me. Now this one is just of some leaf on the floor, and again, some over filtering actually this time on the S20 I think. And if I go and zoom into this particular leaf, maybe we'll see some differences. I'm not really too sure. Not really, they both look like almost the exact same photo. So with this one, I don't really think there's a winner here, to be honest. Now this photo was taken exactly on ultra-wide mode on both photos and both phones, and you kind of see that on the S20 the photo looks ultimately brighter than on the S10e, and I don't think that's like a shame on the S10e. I don't think that's a bad thing, but you can kind of see a pretty big difference here. This is the ultra-wide mode camera sensor here as well. I was going to test the telephoto, but the S10e doesn't have a telephoto lens, so there's no point even testing it. And this is that exact same photo almost, but this one in regular mode. And again, not really too many crazy differences here. You won't really be able to see them, but again, you kind of see a little bit of difference with the coloring of this lamp and the coloring of this lamp. You kind of see a little bit of difference in the color, but other than that, they look almost exactly the same. Now this photo is of just the graininess in the wood that I always take, and again, not a crazy difference. For some reason the S20 kind of blurred out a little bit more here. The S10e did not, and that might be actually a good thing for that bokeh effect. but I can see how this kind of is more blendy, and this one focusing more on this one for some reason, which is a good thing. I think that's how it's supposed to be, but I would have kind of liked that other part to be focused in, but as you can see, nothing too crazy. On the background of the leaves, you can see even before zooming in that the S20 did a better job at blurring out those leaves. The S10e was okay too, but for sure the S20 definitely got that one. And this is just of the trees and taken at the exact same time of day, and look how much better the S20's photo is. It's more blue and everything, and I think I do like this one. This one looks really, really nice. The S10e is alright, but it looks more gloomy and more gray, which actually might have been more accurate to this, but I like how this one made it a little bit more poppy, so I kind of like the S20's photo, to be honest. Now I'll go ahead and show you guys the video that I made, and the video was actually pretty good on both. One thing that I've seen on both cameras is that honestly, the focusing and the autofocusing just seems a little bit kind of like too vicious in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a little bit too harsh and a little bit too hard. Like it'll zoom in and zoom out really, really extremely hard, and I'm not really too sure what the point of that is. I don't know why they keep doing it with these cameras. On iOS, it's a lot more fluid and a lot more smooth in a way. This one is a lot more harsh, and you might like it, you might not care, but that's something that I immediately saw between both photos and both videos. One, like I said, doesn't necessarily win over the other one, but to be honest, they both look really good, but I still will probably give the edge to the S20 just because it has the ability to shoot 8K videos at the end of the day. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer this comparison, I truly do believe that the S20 still is the better camera sensor, probably, you know what I mean? It brings more to the table. You have an extra telephoto lens, you have a little bit better quality here and there. What I would tell you is that the S10e still did a very, very good job. The S10e did a tremendous job, if I'm being honest, and I was surprised that it did that good of a job. I was expecting it to do worse, but it really didn't. So I give a lot of respect to Samsung with the S10e for sure. So, and that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those things are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.